How's it going, everybody? In this series, we're going to take a look at going through a full-scale size lab. It's not the actual full-scale lab I keep referring to. This is something similar to this. This is going to be more of a free-form setup to where we're going to go through and configure a bunch of stuff. We're going to walk through every technology that's out there, and we're going to configure it on this topology just to get the juices flowing, to understand the premise behind all the configuration that there is. I do have the lab fired up. It's running in GNS3. It is ready to roll. I have it pulled up in Super Putty, so we have all 32 devices operational. Again, the main focus of this series is to go through the expanded blueprint and make sure that we can configure everything that we have the ability to configure within the operating system that I'm running, which is 15.2 mainline, second release. So we're going to be running through a lot of configuration, so we will get this to be fully operational. We're just not confined to a set of lab requirements where you can't do this, you can't do that. We're going to test some things out, make sure everything works. The premise behind this is I didn't want to do a 10 router or 20 router full-scale like foundation lab. I wanted to go through and say, okay, we're going to go full-scale. If you're going to start doing CCIE prep, you better start doing it on a full-scale CCIE sized implementation or topologies and deployments. So this is going to be like a real-world environment. We're going to have a lot of routing protocols. We're going to have a lot of things going on. We're going to go through and start with the basics. We're going to run through and we're going to have our PPP connections. We're going to do serial, get layer 2 operational, and then we're going to work our way up to through the IP routing protocols, BGP, MPLS, IPv6, multicast security, QoS, and services. So by the time we're done with these videos, you and I will have definitely a good working knowledge of how this stuff should come together. And I can guarantee we will run into hiccups along the way, and that's okay. The way that I want to format this is not like we did with the advanced technologies videos. There is no slides here. At this point in time, I'm automatically assuming that you are through the advanced technologies labs, like I have. I've gone through all of them. I know what I'm doing, and well, for 99% of the time, I know what I'm doing. This is my learning curve as I start to ramp my production up towards taking the lab. My lab is scheduled towards the middle of June of 2015. I don't want to give the exact day out because in case something goes awry, I do have a tentatively scheduled in June. I'll give you when it comes closer. Once I pass, I'll give you the actual date that I took it and stuff like that. So, but from here on out, this is the premise. Whether we're doing a full-scale lab where it's actually following a lab diagram and lab procedures, or we're doing something where it's more free-form, trying testing things out. And I recommend you do something like this. You may not have the resources at home to do this, but I recommend you go through and you make sure you know what every command is, and you make your topologies and your implementations as big and as complicated as you possibly can. I'm hoping that when I go through the lab, our first full-scale lab, that I will stump most of you. That's what I'm hoping to do. Because if I don't, I'm not really pushing the envelope on what you can possibly do. So I'm kind of taking this and I'm saying, okay, I've gotten 60% of the lab written. I want to go through and deploy some stuff, see how this is actually going to work. We're going to test some things out, stuff like that, and that'll give me an ability to feel this topology out, because it looks like it'll work, but I won't know until I actually get on the devices and start working with it. So this is the introductory. The other part of the format is it's going to be one screen for me. I'm actually working on like a 20-inch monitor. I want to make sure that I can work my way up through and up to. I think they do 23 or 24-inch monitors in the lab, so that's going to be something that is going to be cool for that, because then I can just go ahead and it'll be more real screen real estate for me later on. In addition to that, it's going to be just the Cisco docs. So if we get stuck on something, it's going to be, I won't be able to Google it. If I really get stuck and I can't figure out what the problem is, then I can Google the problem and go, okay, where did I find it, reference it, quickly reference back, and then make note of that. and go from there. I will be every now and again pulling up Notepad and taking things in and updating the slides for our Notepad documents, and then slowly as we go through each one of the protocols, I will be uploading those to the internet, because at this point in time we have dialed in that, and I will actually save them as a Google Drive, and I will update them in Google Drive, and I will give access to everybody through my YouTube account to Google Drive, and you guys will be able to go up there and get that operation. I'll just go up there and save it, and stuff like that. So like I said, this is not the full-scale lab. It is full-scale lab size, but it is not the I don't have the lab completely written yet. I want to run through a full implementation of all the protocols, all the options in the blueprint, and go from there. So our outline and our direction for this lab isn't just to arbitrarily configure something. It's to go through this. And the reason I started off with layer 2 WAN circuits, let me actually make this a bit bigger, is because of the fact that go just a hair bigger than that. The reason why I started with layer 2 WAN circuits is because of the fact that it's serial connections between our routers. And the reason why I decided to start there instead of starting at layer 2 is because layer 2 requires a little bit more effort on my part to get things operational. So we're going to run through layer 2 WAN circuits, and we're going to look at through some of the stuff. A couple of things we're not going to do is we're not going to do any what I call cheat or real-world fixes for issues you might see. So we're not going to do a static route. We're not going to do any policy routing. We will be doing GRE tunneling. We won't be doing any PFR. There will be default routes, but no static routing, no policy routing, because just about every lab that I've seen put out by both IP Expert, INE, CC Bootcamp, Cisco 360, none of them allow you to do policy routing, because it's an easy way to fix a problem. I mean, I use policy routing in a lot of environments because it does a good job. But here, we're not going to be doing that. I don't have IPv6 configured yet as of late. I'll be coming back through, and before we get finished with the video, or if I have nothing better to do with my time, what I'm actually going to do is I'll configure the IPv6 addressing on a per area basis. So what that means basically is if we decide to run RIP NG here, I'll configure IPv6 addressing. Right now it's just IPv4, and that's all we're going to be running with for the time period, because I'm going to run through all the routing protocols, so RIP, EIGRP, OSPF, BGP, MPLS, and then multicast. Once I get all of that laid in, I'll come back and I'll lay in IPv6 on top of that. So at that point in time, we will be doing IPv6 later on, just not right now. So I do expect this to take some time to go through and get everything operational. So this is our guide. So we're going to have to go through here and do everything that's listed here. So as we're going through, I will be picking and choosing things, and most of the stuff is off the top of my head. If I don't know how to do it, I have to go look it up. Okay, how does that work? Okay, how do I do summarization? I know how to do summarization, but that's going to be one of the things we're going to have to look up or configure and get operational. Same thing with going through here. There's going to be a few things I won't be able to do, like add path is a 15.3 operating system level. I don't have that capability here. Another one down here at the bottom is IP fast reroute. I don't have that capability. Where is the other one? IPv6 over the top. I cannot do that, and I'm not sure if I can do VRF Lite with IPv6. So there's going to be some limitations to the lab that we won't be able to do. But like I said, just about everything else we will be able to do, and we will be doing. So that's going to be one of the key features as we go through here. So that's what's going on. If you don't have Super Putty, I highly recommend you get Super Putty, because I have all 32 routers set up and ready to go. So I can literally send a command to go say show IP interface brief, and we have all these connections operational. I do have everybody IP address configured and ready to go. Just a matter of getting in here and actually doing it, getting everything working, stuff like that. We will not be doing BFD, bidirectional forwarding detection, in this video, or in these sections, or in this section, or in the full-scale lab, because it does not work well, at least with GNS3 that I've seen. It works fine in the CSR 1000Vs, but the minute I turn it on with BFD, it crashes my routers. It's way too much control plane. Even when I use the slowest settings, it still bugs out. It does not like it. So as you can see, I've got everything turned on, everything ready to rock. So from here on out, it's going to be a matter of us going through and getting things operational and getting it situated and going from there. I'm going to try to keep the configuration. I'm not going to make it easy. This is going to be very complicated. The logic is going to get detailed. Like I said, as we go through here, especially when we get into RIP, I mean, a lot of people hate on RIP, but at the end of the day, a lot of vendors implement it. So you should know how to use it. So one of the things we're going to be doing with RIP is we're going to be running through getting this stuff operational. So we're going to go through and do default routing, conditional default routing, and reliable conditional default routing. If you've never heard of that or seen it, you will. There's a 5 or 6 step process to get that operational. So you should be able to say, okay, yeah, I know how to do this. There's a few things out there that are kind of don't quite work quite right in GNS3, and because it's emulated iOS, not regular iOS like you would get inside of CSR 1000V or a physical router. But we're going to work on that. So this is our guideline for going through here. Like I said, I think you guys will have, this will be a good time for everybody to learn some things and go from there. So one of the first things we're going to get started with is, I'm actually going to stop this video. This is our introduction. The next video we're going to dive right into the config, start running through it, get everything operational. So I hope you're willing to stick through it with me through this, because I think it'll be a great learning opportunity for both you and I. See how things actually work. Hopefully you can gain some experience and expertise that you didn't have prior to this. I will actually, now that I'm thinking about this, I will put my email address. Let me change my email address right here, and let me bold it out. Alright, so email me whenever you'd like. I will be available to respond to emails, things like that. To answer your question, yes, the .NET file will be available with the initial configurations, and I will make sure that the .NET file goes up with IPv6 addressing. I won't be uploading any videos anytime soon, so by the time you guys actually see this, all this stuff should be already in Google Drive and operational. I hope this has been informative for you, and I want to thank you for viewing.